So, woman of God, what do you do when the throne goes unoccupied? How long do you wait? He ain't sitting on it. He's not leading me. What do we do? I'm frustrated, and I heard the sermon, and I want him on it, but he ain't doing it. So what do I do? Help a sister out.
So I mentioned earlier that most of the time we think that the throne is just empty right then. You know, like the throne has been empty, and you were forced, and you had to step up, you had to handle it, and now you're just reaping the repercussions of that. Well, that's not really how it goes. And I think if we were really honest, there are a lot of reasons why this throne goes unoccupied. So, and we don't have time to go into every single scenario that would cause a man to leave his throne. Pastor Myron talked about that last week. So I would suggest go back and listen to that. What causes the brothers to leave in the first place? But from a woman's perspective, oftentimes we want the throne. I think it's because of what you said. It's sometimes innate in us because we get into security mode. We get into one of I remember when Pastor Martin and I were getting ready to get married, and we talked about everything. And one of the things we talked about when he asked me what did I want, my number one was security. It was security. It wasn't the money. It wasn't what somebody else's list may look like. I wanted security. And it was not security in, I just wanted somebody to take care of me. No. That wasn't it. I want to be secure in this relationship. I'm coming in it secure as a whole woman. I'm coming in it having had dealt with all of my little bitty insecurities as much as I could have. My insecurities, I felt whole, I felt complete in him. So I wasn't coming to him to complete me. I wasn't coming to him for him to make me, to take care of me, for me to sit up and that wasn't it. I wasn't coming into a relationship because of that. But I wanted to be secure. But he had as secure as he could have made me. But that security come from his walk with the Lord. And it wasn't just, because we say people walk with God, or people are godly people, or, and we say that, but when people walk with God, they hear from God. And I knew that God had his heart. I knew that God had it. So if there was ever a moment where he needed to be corrected, or God needed to say something to him concerning me, I knew that he would hear God. So that's what I mean by security. That's what I meant by security. Not somebody taking care of me, sister friend. So please hear me. I'm talking about somebody who was secure in themselves, secure in their walk, and that gave me security in the relationship. So the throne, earlier I mentioned just about I was raised in a family where there were no men. So I didn't see a lot of positive interaction. And I saw some interaction, but there was not long-term commitment. So I didn't even know what that looked like. I didn't know healthy marriage. I didn't know submission. That was a dirty word. I've mentioned before that when I wrote my goals after high school, go to college, of course, I wanted to be a DJ on the radio. And I wanted 3 kids and no man. I want the children, but I don't want what comes with it. I don't want control, because I don't want anybody trying to tell me what to do. Because look at my paradigm of what marriage was. Somebody was going to try to run my life, tell me what to do, tell me where I can go, when I can go. That to me looked like a complete turnoff. Like, I don't want any parts of that. Give me the kids. I can raise them by myself because my mama did it. So that means I can do it too. So all of that came into my adulthood. And so then I come to know Christ, and then I learned that my way of thinking was not a proper way of thinking. So I had to unlearn what I learned, and then we date, and then eventually we get married, and all of that was challenged at some point in our marriage. I had to unlearn some things. So my initial response to things I got it, I'll take care of it, because that had always been me. I'll take care of it. I take care of myself. Nobody can secure me like I can secure me. Nobody else can take care of me like I can take care of me. So I got this. So I think a part of the reason why we want the throne sometimes is because that security is not there. And, like you said, it's the curse. And so it rises up in us. We're all born into sin. And we never really think about that part of us being one of the sins or one of the issues that we really have to deal with. We have plenty more that we have to deal with. We never think about the challenge of that in a marriage. We never really think about that.
What do I do when it's unoccupied?
You don't do anything. If you are married, listen to me, sister friends. And again, there are a lot of reasons why this throne has been unoccupied. Sometimes, my sister friends, we jump and we grab the throne the first chance and first opportunity we get. And if you have a man that's not going to, he's trying to keep peace. He ain't trying to fight you. He's not going to try to argue with you. He just let you have it. And you think that that's a win. You think that that's a win, but it's not a win. That just means that you got the throne, and therefore, and again, there is a weight that comes with this throne. There is a responsibility that comes with that throne, and it was designed for the man to carry that weight. When we jump up and grab it, we're saying we can hold up that weight. And then we get to a point in our lives, sometimes 10, 5, 10, 15 years down the line, you've carried that, and now you're tired. Now you're frustrated. Now you're ready for him to take over. Well, you grabbed it in the first place. And that weight was too heavy for you to carry. And that's why we get tired. It's just like single parenting. You're not going to tell me that my mama wasn't tired, because she was trying to fulfill the role of two people. And that is weight. That's why you have to go the extra mile sometimes for single moms. And you call them, hey, girl, let me keep the kids, or let me do this for you, or let me do that. Because she is literally carrying the weight. Women, when you get out of your place, you're carrying the weight that you're not intended to carry. And the enemy, I believe, just in our world and in our society has put this wedge against man and woman and husband and wife, and made us think that there is equality. That there is equality about this seat. There is no equality in this seat. There may be equality on your job, equality in the workforce, equality about scholarships and funding and things like that. And women should have a right to those things. So let's not get that twisted. But in the kingdom, about certain things, there is no equality. There is no equality. That is his role. Let him have it. Okay, but he's not doing that. Then we have to sit down and we have to assess why. This notion of just throwing a blanket on stuff and just saying, oh, well, we can cover it with this, and we can use this terminology to describe this, and we can say this. We have to time out. Some of us in our relationships call it time out. How did we get here? How did we get here? How did I get on the throne in the first place? And as men, listen, brothers, we need you to occupy the throne. We need you to do it. We need you to do it. It's not just walking around putting your foot down about certain things or being vocal and verbal and loud with it. That's not what we need. What we need for you to do is hold that throne down. Hold it down. I wrote this earlier because we still have a problem with the S word. And I really want us to just let us move past this so we can. Now, let me say this, brothers, because I'm serious. When I say things like that, we hear you. Okay? We hear you, but we're looking for you too.
You better preach in this house, sisterin'.
Because we say that, and all the men in here, they probably couldn't stand up because their wives are with them, and you being a wise man by not standing up. But we're looking for that too. We're looking for it. I'm looking for you to be the man worthy of the yell. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that.
How does that look?
That looks like holding this throne down. You know what I'm saying? There's a strength. You know how it's when women are, when people are well cared for. You know, I saw a quote that says, poverty is loud and wealth is quiet. Truly wealthy people, I'm not talking about like, and rich was somewhere in between, and it said that rich was flashy because I want to show that I'm rich. But true wealthy people, we know a gentleman that is extremely wealthy. I don't even know if you could even say this man is wealthy. He just got it's a lot of money, just a lot. And if I'm not mistaken, he passed us on the street driving a Toyota Camry. It wasn't loud. He just know that at any given moment. I mean, it's ridiculous how much money this man got. But it's because there's a confidence that comes with when you got it. You know what I'm saying? There is just, when you got it, I just sit in it. I just sit in what I know. I just sit in who I am. And men, we need you to get it. We need you to get it. We crying out for you to get it. We crying out for you to get it. Please get it. Please hear us. We don't want the throne. We don't really want it. We don't really want it. And our lives have the way some of us were raised. Yeah, and some of us are absolutely wrong for jumping in the seat. If we can just call it what it is, we were wrong. I should not have jumped in that seat. I should not have. But let us assess where we are. Let us stop. Everybody call a timeout. I've been in the seat. You've been out the seat. Now, I want to talk about you getting in the seat and you getting in your proper place. Because I need to get out the way. It's too heavy for me. And now this is how you say it. You keep your tone.
Come on, sister. Y'all better come on.
You keep
talk
your
to
tone
us.
down.
Talk to us.
You make sure your words are sweet,
Wait,
sister friends.
Tell us how we don't say it first.
First of all, what you need to do, if you was doing what you were supposed to do, I wouldn't be doing what I got to do. So you just want me to just let stuff fall? I'm not going to do that. This ain't that. And see, that's not going to get you anywhere. And you. What the funny thing is, you see how easy I could have kept going. Because it's so easy for us to do. It's so easy. Even those of us who don't have pop-off personalities, I don't have a pop-off personality, but you get me in the right situation at the right time, and they can get it too. So
how should you communicate?
And it is, first of all, let's go ahead and dispel this whole notion that submission is horrible, it's wrong, that it's not from God, and surely because it makes us uncomfortable. And what submission does is it challenges independence. It challenges independence. And independence equals security in myself,
my friend,
which is pride. So when we have all of those things at work, now that's pride. Because when he went down the list, lust of the eyes, I don't deal with that. Lust of the flesh, that ain't my problem either, so I'm good. Pride of life, no, I don't walk away in pride. Pride is present if you are independent. Because I don't really need you, God. And like you said, nobody really says I don't need you, God. But our actions reflect that. And what we're really saying is that I don't need your way. I don't need your way. My way works better. I don't need your way. My way gets me the results that I need. So
how do you help him get back on the throne?
First, you make sure that the environment is right. Don't just jump.
Come on, you better hear this
don't just after church. You know what? When they was talking earlier, and that may be fine, but I want you to pray first. I'm serious. You pray first. All right, God, you season my words. You make sure that my words are seasoned and that they're seasoned with grace, and that I realize that I'm talking to my man. My man. So the environment is right. I wait. I don't try to talk when he preoccupied, the game on. I don't do that. I wait until the time is right. And then I make sure my tone is good. But you have to understand, when you're communicating anything difficult to anybody, you have to make sure that this is done. It's not just your spouse, it's anybody. Hard conversations, they're necessary, but you have to make sure they're done right. And so I pull you to the side, and it's just like,
That's
hey.
What's up, baby?
So, first things first is I take responsibility for the part that I play. So now I have to own, before I go into the conversation, I have to own, listen, I have for so many years, I have bucked the system with you. I have disrespected you. I have not held you in high honor.
Time out. Wait a minute. I'm going to let you keep on, because what if I feel like I hadn't disrespected him?
So,
see, that's the problem. Let's go. Come on back to me.
So that goes back to, you have to own your part. And sometimes it's hard for us to own it because we want other people to own what they did to us so bad. Oh my gosh. And we can't move beyond a certain point because it's all about, you need to own what you did. You played a role. You played a role. When Pastor Myron was talking, listen, y'all, a few weeks ago about the woman whose child was sick. And she did not care that Jesus told her that, look, what I got, this is what even the crumbs that I got for the dogs. And this is what I got is not even for you. But in her mind, Jesus, I hear you, but I need something. So you have to decide first that you need something. What is it that you need? I need my man back in his place.
Jesus. Come on.
So that's first things first. Let's decide, and this stuff is hard. I can't tell you that this is easy, but you have to decide. If you're sick and tired of carrying the weight, then this is the work that you got to do. And there is no sugarcoating. There's no sugarcoating for this. It's hard, and it's supposed to be hard because it's challenging that part of you. It's challenging you in the worst way. It's challenging you, but it's supposed to. It's supposed to. So I come and I say, I take responsibility. It was me, my bad, because I want something. I'm not just talking. It's kind of like, you know how guys used to play and his speech was on point because he had an end goal. It's the same concept. You have to be wise. If you want your house better, if you want your man moved, you cannot use other standards. You can't use other methods to make kingdom stuff happen. You have to use kingdom principles. And it's humility. It's going in with humility. I'm sorry. The reason we in this, well, it's not my fault why we in this place. Well, you know what? Right now it is. So let me go and put my pride to the side and say, listen, it's been my fault. My bad. I've disrespected you. I've not allowed you to lead me. And I'm going to be honest, I'm tired. I'm tired. I can't carry the weight that you can carry. God brought you in my life to carry this. God brought you in my life, not necessarily to carry me, but he's going to use you to bring forth things in my life. And the way we got, how we got off, I don't really know. But I want us to do better. I want us to be better. And more importantly, I want you to function and be the man that God has called you to be.
Okay.
And you know what's going to happen? he may not do anything right after that. We so emotional as women sometimes. Like, I'm serious. We got to take a page out of their book. If it was just women in here, I would say, listen. You got to take a page out their book. When they want what they want, they don't stop. In return, you do the same thing. Listen, until he hears it. You keep saying, and your posture, see, when you really going in true humility, your posture is different. So when you come in the house the next day and things are still the way they are, when you go back and you revert back, it's like, oh, so you didn't really mean that. That's why your why has to be on point. And your why is because I want my marriage to work. So that means I want my marriage to work, so I'm willing to take. I'm willing to do whatever I got to do. I'm willing to shut my talking mouth. I'm willing to do that in order for things to get back in place.
Listen to this. It says, 1 Peter chapter 3 said, wives, in the same way submit yourselves to your own husbands, so that if any of them do not believe the word, they may be won over without words.
Without words.
By the behavior of their wives.
Behavior.
By the behavior of their wives. So sometimes it's you talk too much. You talk too much. You talk too loud. Your demeanor too. It's just. You too cold. I don't know who you think I am. And just because I'm quiet don't mean I'm going. You get what I'm saying? Just because I don't want no beef and I don't want no smoke don't mean that I'm going. So this how you win them. They may be won over without words by the behavior of their wives. When they see the purity and reverence of your lives. Listen, your beauty should not come from outward adornment. Now listen, don't mean that you look like a ragamuffin, but that ain't what you need to depend on. Such as elaborate hairstyles and wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes. Rather, it should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit. A gentle, what she just displayed was a gentle and a quiet spirit. Sometimes you don't get the results that you're looking for with your husband because you don't have a gentle and quiet spirit. You have a rough and loud spirit and a clapback spirit. And he ain't trying to hear that. You're telling him the right thing, but it's how you're telling him. And you know his fear to be controlled by a woman. That's why you're not going to control me. You can try to control me. You can say what you want to say. You can think that you're winning, but you're not winning. Wow. All this talking, when I shut down and you think I'm over here just quiet, but I'm not over here just quiet. It's something else that's going on. So anyway, which is of great worth in God's sight. For this is the way that holy women of the past who put their hope in God used to adorn themselves. They submitted themselves to their own husbands, like Sarah, who obeyed Abraham and called him Lord. You are her daughters if you do what is right and do not give way to fear. Husbands, this bless my life. In the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives and treat them with respect as the weaker partner and as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life, so that nothing will hinder your prayers. My God. It said, so Travis, it said that if you ain't treating her how she need to be treated, if you're not being considerate of her, there's some things that you got up before God could be hindered because you're not treating her like God has called you to treat her.
Which furthers the weight of this seat. Do you see the correlation in the weight of this seat? If the seat holder is not doing his part, his prayers are hindered.
What kind of house you gonna have? What you praying? What you believe in God for? So Tori, you said something in the first that I want you to elaborate on about even if you're not popping back, that ain't
my personality anyway.
That's not your personality. So talk a little bit about that. About when we had the conversation and you was just not do certain things.
So Pastor Martin and I had a conversation a while ago, just about how I assume this was one of them timeout conversations, because if you're married, you should be having them often. Time out, just doing a checkup, make sure we good, everybody copacetic, like it's some going on, I'm feeling some kind of way, and this was one of those times. So we was called a timeout, and he mentioned that I was disrespectful. So and so most of us see disrespect as loud, just abrasive, or just my body language was a certain way, and that wasn't. Because so initially I'm like, I don't clap back at you. That's not even my style. Like, I don't clap back. I'm not loud. I'm not in your face. Like, my hands, my gestures, my body language is cool, but it was passive aggressive. It was, I heard you. Okay. Yes, sir. All right. Okay. And when the opportunity came, I did my own thing. And so in his world, not in his world, but just that was disrespect, because the outcome is the same. The girl who does that is disrespectful, and her outcome is going to be, I'm not going to do what you told me to do, or I'm not going to do what you suggested that we do. The same applies when it's, you listening? Okay. And the opportunity, when it comes, I'm doing my own thing. I'm making my own decision, because I don't have to snap back. That ain't me anyway. I'm not going to snap back at anybody. But I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to make the decision that I want to make. And so that comes across, that's still disrespect, because you're not honoring what we said we were going to do. And then you let me talk and go on and on and on and make me think that you were on board. Yes, sir. And then when it was time to make the decision, well, I'm just gone. I'm just gone. I'm just gone. And anytime, women of God, we have to say, I'm just gone, we are leaving the path. Like, we're leaving whatever we have set, because I'm just gone means I'm kind of veering off from the plan, and I'm just going to improvise. I'm just going to do something else. Well, that means we're not sticking to some when it's I'm just gone.
My God. What do you do? Or what happens when a fool occupies the throne? Now I'll come down my street a little bit, because I want to be submissive, and I know the Lord and all this, but it's a fool that occupied the throne. Do I submit to the fool? What I mean by this dude he act like he believe, but his actions show that he really don't believe. I mean, it's something going on. He don't. That guy. He a fool. He make bad decisions. We broke. Whatever it is. But this is the lights off. A fool occupies the throne. What do I do? We'll cover that next week. And let's talk about this for a minute. So what do you do? Tori asked me this. She asked me when we talked about this, about how long, so how long do you wait? How long do you wait when the throne is unoccupied before you take the throne as a woman? How long do you wait? And the thing what we have to realize is that how long did God wait for you? How long did he wait for you? And I told her, I said, well, you wait until God change him. That's how long you wait. When the throne is unoccupied, you never sit in the seat, because that's not your seat. Well, and if it's not your seat, you don't sit in the seat. So you have to be a wise woman and speak to him and show him and rub him and pray for him and talk to God and cry out to God about him getting back where he's supposed to be. When Saul got the kingdom taken from him, it was because Saul didn't wait, because God didn't come through in Saul's timeline. Saul had a timeline, and Saul said, look, I need this man to come through. He didn't come through, so he offered the sacrifice. In other words, he said, I want to be married by this time. The husband didn't show up, and so you married whoever you wanted to marry. I need to be married by this time, and God didn't show up, and so I'm just going to sleep with somebody. So because God don't show up in your time frame, you do your own thing. You wait until God shows up. And because God didn't show up in his time frame, he offered the sacrifice. When he offered the sacrifice, Samuel came and said, why did you offer the sacrifice? He said, because I was afraid, because people was leaving me. Resources was leaving me. I didn't know if God was going to come or not. And that's how some of us we act. I ain't know God was going to do it. I ain't know if God was going to come through. I didn't know if my husband would ever get back in the throne. So I occupied the seat that he was supposed to occupy. You never occupy the seat. You wait on God. And because he did not wait on God, the kingdom was taken from him. So many things will be taken from us. We don't wait on God. So you wait until he get back in the seat, and you do your part, and you talk to your God, and you talk to your man, and you use wisdom, and you communicate. But now, when a fool occupies the throne, somebody asked the question in the first service. It says, should you leave your spouse if they continue to put people and things before you? Do you leave them? Do you just... But now you have a conversation, and you have several conversations, and you get counseling, and you pray, because grounds for divorce, that's not grounds for divorce. And even though it hurt, and not to minimize this has to be addressed. But this is not grounds for divorce. 1 Samuel chapter 15, look at verse 2. A certain man from Maon who had property there in Carmel was very wealthy. He had a lot of money. See, some of you married a fool, and you can't talk to him, and can't nobody talk to him. And you tripping because you praying to God to send somebody to speak into their life, because nobody can get through to him, and it's his way or the highway, or her way or the highway. And it's, God, say something, because I'm stuck in this relationship. I don't want to cheat. I don't want to leave. I don't want to shut down, but I'm miserable, and I need you to help me with this fool. And I don't even call him a fool, because I shouldn't be calling him a fool, but God, help me, God. And I'm suffering silently. If I talk to somebody about it, I feel like I'm talking about him, and I'm dishonoring him. If I deal with it alone, I feel like I'm miserable, and I have no choice. God, what is it that you want me to do, God? I'm married to this fool. See, when you married to a fool, you got to use a whole lot of wisdom. You got to use a whole lot of prayer. You don't take the throne. You got to hold it down from your seat. You got to hold it down from your place. But you never take his spot. You never take his role. Because God has given you what he's given you to hold it down from your seat. And sometimes it's frustrating. And men of God, make sure that your wife is not looking at you as Abigail looked at Nabal. Because she felt trapped to when I'm in this relationship, and because I believe God and love God and I don't want to divorce you, but I feel trapped because, baby, really, you're a fool. Really, you hurting us. We got money, but you're a fool. We got money, but you mean. We can't get anything to come in. This man was getting ready to kill you and all of the men here, and probably is going to take us captive because you're a fool. And you're hurting not only me, but you're hurting this family. You hurting us from moving forward. Don't be a fool, men of God. And women of God, if you're married to a fool, be a wise woman. Be a praying woman. And don't ever let him feel like you feel that he's a fool. Hallelujah. If you're married and if there's no ground for divorce, it wasn't meant to be. Whatever the prophet told you on the front end, when you got before God and his people and you said, I do, then you don't get in trouble and then say, I don't. You understand what I'm saying?
That's right.
You don't get in a little trouble and say, I don't.
That's right.
Because sometimes you just want to go ahead and do it real quick. You know he ain't the one, or you know she ain't the one, and you want to go real quick against all godly counsel. You want to get in, oh, I'm married now. Well, you got to deal with it. You got to eat the fruit of that decision that you made. You got to eat the fruit of your impulsiveness. And then you got to ask God, extend the grace and have mercy on me for being so impulsive, for being disobedient, for me going against all wisdom, for me going against what I know that you said. But now I'm here, God, and I need your grace and I need your mercy, because you didn't call me to leave here because now I'm uncomfortable. You didn't call me to leave here if I'm married and this is the one. You don't get married and then say he ain't the one. No, he the one. Yes, he is the one. She the one. Yes, she is the one. Make it happen. If there's no ground for the divorce, that's your husband. Forgive me, God, for going against what you told me to go through, God. And some of us just do it. You keep making bad decision after bad. You made a bad decision by marrying him. Now you're getting ready to make a bad decision by getting rid of him. And then you're going to look at getting married again and make another bad decision. And some of you have been married 5 times, and the one that you're with now ain't y'all don't want to have no church. I think my past sexual abuse is affecting my marriage. How do I move forward?
I think now it's more embraced more than it has ever been. But I do think we should stop underplaying counseling and therapy.
Come on.
Years ago, when I first started in youth ministry, just even working with kids, we talked a lot about waking things up early in kids, and which is abuse. When a child has been abused, or a woman or male, you wake those things up in them extremely early. And that's why you get some of the behaviors that you get. You get very promiscuous girls and who kind of out there, and you get guys who just, they running through women like crazy, or they're experiencing with homosexuality. And so when you wake those things up early, sometimes you have experiences far sooner than you should have, and that has a weight on who you are. That plays into how you see men. It plays into how you see women. And so it's almost impossible for you to have been broken and not put back together and then go into a relationship thinking that you're whole. It's hard. Doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. Something happened to you. It wasn't right. It wasn't fair. It should not have happened, but it did. And so how you deal with that is going to play a tremendous part in your marriage and your relationship. Because let's just say, for example, a young woman that was abused, molested, raped, either way, and certain touches to her are not going to be received because of what happened. So what a husband may think, well, I'm just showing affection. Well, no, that reminds me of when my uncle or my cousin or my dad or my stepdad did that to me, and I don't want you touching me. So now a man feels rejected. Okay, you don't want me. All right, I'll go elsewhere, or I'll go to something else. When Pastor Myron mentioned last week, the girl on the porn don't reject me. I can have her whenever, however, how long, however, because I get to stay there in that visual as long as I want to. So sometimes when we don't deal with those things, they absolutely affect your relationship. And so what do? I would highly suggest you get counseling. I would absolutely, you find you a therapist, find you a counselor, somebody to walk through those things with you. That's what happened to you is not normal. It's not normal. It's not normal. And so there should be no shame in that. You didn't bring that on yourself. Somebody violated you. So don't allow the enemy to put you in shame and make you feel like you have to stay there. You do not. I do not have to stay here. I'm going to get help. I'm going to get my mind healthy. Because that's what it is. I got to get my mind healthy. So I'm able to receive my spouse's love wholly and not broken.
Read that question. Now see if we're going to answer
it. How do you not keep money to the side for a rainy day without making your husband feel a certain way? Is that being deceitful? What should I do? Because I use that money when we are in lack and need.
Jesus. Jesus. That's not what you do. So, and I think that's what we addressed on last week. That's the temptation. And that's the predicament that you put her in when you're not being responsible, when you're not doing what you're supposed to do with the resources. You put her in situations to say, because now she's saying, had I not put that money up, the lights would be out. Had I not put that money up. But to really get the marriage where you needed to get, sometimes them lights got to go off. Sometimes you got to let them go off. Sometimes you got to allow him to feel the brunt of that as well. And
so, Pastor, you want me to sit in the dark. You want me and my kids to go without.
Yeah. I don't want you to sit in the dark. That's why I want to challenge your husband to get on the throne. Because when he's not on the throne, sometimes you end up sitting in the dark. But what I'm telling you as a woman of God is that you have to be a wise woman of God and build your house. Because when you keep putting stuff to the side and rescuing him, you see what I'm saying? You keep rescuing him, and the roles are being reversed. He should be the rescuer. But as long as you come rescuing, you let him off the hook. So you can't let him off the hook. You're the rescuer. And so if I gotta be in this dark with you, if I gotta be lonely, if the kids can't go to school, we just gotta deal with it until God, because you are the kingdom man. See, I have to give 100 and expect 0. I don't want you to minimize that and understanding of that. I have to give 100 and expect 0. So I have to do my part even when it's tempting to do something different. When it's tempting to offer the sacrifice before Samuel get here, I can't offer the sacrifice. When it's tempting to put the money up when I know that he ain't going to do what he's supposed to do, I can't put the money up. When it's tempting for me to talk to somebody else when I know I shouldn't be talking to anybody else, I have to not do that because I got to wait on God and do what God has called me. That's what kingdom women do. That's what kingdom people do. We wait on God and we trust God instead of trusting ourselves. Because when I put it up, I'm still trusting in myself. When I put it up, I'm still depending on myself. Because I can't depend on him, I'm depending on me. And God, I'm asking that you do it. And when I speak to him and love on him and encourage him and speak to that king in him with my cold behind and speak to that king in him with my in the dog way, speak to that king in him with my hungry self. I got to speak to that king. He see me losing weight. And ain't because I done worked out. He see because I ain't ate. And I just believe that king in him gonna rise up. That king in him gonna stand up with your wisdom, with your wise self, with your prayers. That king in him gonna stand up and he gonna go back in his seat and be the man that God has called him to be. Because he's tired of seeing this woman in the dark. He's tired of seeing this woman with nothing to wear, having to wear the same old clothes. My God, we can't even afford some personal items that she really need because he won't do what he's supposed to do. We around here borrowing money because he won't do what he's supposed to do. But I can never get in this man's place because that's his seat. Let me stay in my seat and pray that God put him in his seat. And God, if he don't get in his seat, God, I will never occupy the seat that my husband is supposed to occupy. Just like I waited on my spouse, I'm waiting on you, God, to get him back where he's supposed to be. Listen, single men. Listen. I want you to hear this. It's single ladies as well. Stop looking for the right one.
Please, say it again. Say it again.
Stop looking for the right one. You're focusing on the right one. Who is the right one? Is he the right one? Is she the right one? Are they the right? Who's the right one? Stop focusing on looking for the right one and become the right one. See, what really challenged me was this. Would I marry me? You understand what I'm saying? Would you marry you? With all your secrets, with all your lack of integrity, with your porn watching self, with your touching on yourself, with your low credit score having self, with your lack of, would you marry you? Some of the top reasons for divorce: infidelity, This means cheating on your spouse. Oftentimes, physical affairs don't just happen, but they start with emotional affairs. So emotional affairs, when you talk to somebody that's not your spouse and they become your friend. So you have to guard that. We only friends. I'm going through something, he's going through something. So we just talking about what we're going through. That's an emotional affair. You find yourself attracted to him. And he ain't got to look good. It's just, he got some good conversation. You can talk to him. He know you. He notices you. He talks to that deep part of you. He speaks to your soul. He speaks to your spirit. He know the right thing to say to you. He care about you. He asks about your children. He does things that your husband doesn't do. And it starts off as an emotional affair. And it ends up leading to a physical affair. So you have to set safeguards in your life and in your marriage. There are no friends. I don't have any friends. This is my friend. These are associates. You keep the door open when you're meeting. You don't ride in the same car or sit in the front seat with somebody else. You don't go to lunch with somebody. Those are safeguards that you build in your marriage. Money, or the lack thereof. Oftentimes, if she make more money than you, and we talked about this in our In Love and Engaged fellowship, if she make more money than you, oftentimes how that can create a problem in the marriage. And women of God, even if you make more than him, if you the breadwinner, you make him feel like he a man, and you don't start changing the rules once you start making more than him. That's why on the front end, it need to be a plan in place with how we deal with our finances. So now that the plan is in place and you start making more than him, then the game change. You don't allow the game to change once you begin to make more than him. In regards to how much you make, you always empower him. You always allow him to sit on the throne, even with you making the most money. Communication is very key in marriage, and so many marriages suffer. So many relationships, they suffer because of communication or lack of communication. Listen, this is how we address it. Communication issues, because he don't talk to you. You don't talk to him. Y'all have a hard time dealing with each other. Be intentional about spending time talking together. This is how we address it. The average couple, listen, spends only 20 minutes a week talking with each other. The average couple spends only 20 minutes a week talking with each other. So it's important that you turn off the telephone and make a point to spend at least 20 to 30 minutes a day catching up with each other. Let's make that a point. Let's put these things to work. This is what I love about Chris and Laveria and some of the guys that's in here. We talk, and it blesses me when they hear a sermon, they hear a message, and they begin to implement what they heard, opposed to just hearing it and doing nothing about it. Some people, we hear it and we want the results, but we do nothing about it. You want a kingdom marriage, but you don't put anything into practice. They hear it, they put some things in practice. They look different than our date day, but they have a date day. They family time look different now, but they put it into practice, and now look at what God is doing in their lives. You got to hear the word of God, and not just hear the word of God, but do the word of God. 20 to 30 minutes a day. See, this is what we do because our communication is off. So let there be a change. Let's talk 20 to 30 minutes a day if we want to invest in our marriage. This is what you do. You got to express. Sometimes you express negative feelings constructively. You need to express them constructively. This is how I feel about you. This is how I feel about this. I need to express this, but I need to do it in a constructive way. One article said there will be times when you feel bitterness, resentment, disappointment, or disapproval. These feelings need to be communicated in order for change to occur. But how you express these thoughts are critical. You can express it like this: I'm really disappointed that you are working late again tonight. Or you can express it like this: you always, or you can express it like this: you clearly don't care one thing about me or the kids, because you always come in here late every night. So it's how do I express what I'm feeling, because this is how I'm feeling. So I need to express this, but I need to do it in a constructive manner. And take away the all the time and everything and always. Take that away. This is one of the things you do. Listen. Listen without being defensive. I need to listen without being defensive, because sometimes when I'm listening and you telling me some hard things that I don't communicate well, that I don't love you like you need to be loved, I get a little defensive. Well, you don't love, I don't love you like you need to be loved. You don't love me like I need to be loved. We ain't did nothing in 2 weeks. No. Listen without being defensive. For a marriage to succeed, both spouses must be able to hear each other's complaints without getting defensive. This is much harder than learning how to express negative feelings effectively. Freely express positive feelings. When your husband does something right, express them freely. Find him doing something right. Find your wife doing something right. Encourage it. Look, baby, I thank God for you. I appreciate when you cook. Sometimes me and Tori and I, we had to talk about that because I would do something right and she wouldn't say anything. She was just like, I knew she appreciated it. And so I would do something right and then I don't repeat it because she didn't say that she appreciated it. Because I didn't know that I was scratching her spot. So I said, baby, when I do it and you liked it, let me know that you liked it so I can it encouraged me to continue to do it. So you have to communicate and let them know, baby, that boy, you emptied that garbage, boy. Oh my good. Oh. That joker gonna come in the house every day. Grabbing the garbage can. Freely express positive feelings. Most people are quicker to express negative feelings than positive ones. It is vital to the health of your marriage that you affirm your spouse. Positive feelings such as appreciation, affection, respect, admiration, approval, and warmth expressed to your spouse are like making deposits into your love account. You should have 5 deposits for every one negative. So before you can say something negative, you need to say 5 things positive. Some of us say 5 things negative and 1 thing positive. If your compliments exceed your complaints, your spouse will pay attention to your grievances. It was a time where I would complain, I felt more than I would compliment. And I was wonder, why is it that the compliments give life to you? Or no, why is it that the complaints give life to you in a sense? Or you highlight the complaints, but when I compliment you, you don't say much about when I compliment you. It's because I've complained so much that the compliments don't really mean anything. So if your complaints exceed your compliments, your criticism will fall on deaf ears. Y'all didn't hear that. If your complaints exceed your compliments, your criticism will fall on deaf ears. Communication. It's this young lady when I was in high school. Come on, Shalom. This young lady when I was in high school, I was a junior in high school. Look at how communication is. She was in class and she couldn't get a math problem right, and she was frustrated, and she was so frustrated. And I think God has blessed me to be a decent communicator. And I was sitting in class, and she couldn't get it right, and the teacher was trying to explain it to her, and she continued to try to explain it to her. And the young lady said, forget it. But she didn't say forget it. She said something else. And the teacher misunderstood what she said. The teacher turned around and said, forget me. But she didn't say forget me. Forget me. And the girl was trying to explain, forget me. No. You go to the office. You get out of here. You go. And the girl ended up getting kicked out of school. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what just happened? But it's because the girl couldn't communicate. And when the teacher started saying, forget me, the girl couldn't calm her down or wait until she got done and say something like this. Listen, Miss Johnson, I violated by cursing, but what I didn't say was forget you, because I would never disrespect you at that level. I was disrespectful for saying forget it, but I didn't say forget you. Now, I may get a suspension, I may get in trouble, and you may still want to send me to the office, but I didn't say forget you. So before I leave, I just want you to know that I honor you and respect you more than that, to ever say that to you. And end up getting kicked out of school because she couldn't communicate. There's so many kids, there's so many people, there's so many men that don't communicate or struggle with communicate. Speaking their thoughts and understand. And just because you talk a lot don't make you a great communicator. Because it's a two-way street. Just because you say it and speak, you don't listen well. Seek first to understand, then be understood. So you think you're a communicator because you always got something to say. What makes me, I think, a part of me being a pretty decent communicator is because I listen more than I speak. You cutting me off. You don't even know what I'm really saying or really getting ready to say. I just said the first part. What a good counselor does, what a good doctor does is he listens. Lack of communication, yelling at your spouse, not talking enough throughout the day, making nasty comments to express yourself. They're all unhealthy methods of communication that needs to be ditched in a marriage. Poor communication is one of the biggest reasons for divorce. I can't talk to you. Practicing mindful communication. I got to practice this. I got to practice this. Lack of intimacy. This can be from a lack of physical or emotional intimacy and isn't always about sex. If you are constantly giving your spouse the cold shoulder, then when that over time, it creates a major problem. Ignoring your partner's sexual needs is being called the #1 cause for divorce in recent times. I can't ignore his needs. Man, we talked about that, about intimacy, and how intimacy don't start in the bedroom, but intimacy starts during the day. Foreplay starts during the day. Foreplay starts when you're picking up the kids. Foreplay starts when you're sending the text message letting her know that you love her, that you care about her. Foreplay starts when you're helping out with household chores. That's foreplay. That's foreplay. That's a turn on to her. We'll talk about this, Lord willing, on next week. I want to deal with pornography and how it affects so many marriages. See, sometimes we don't understand foreplay. We don't understand intimacy because we've allowed pornography to blind us. We've allowed it because, see, I don't have to turn Sally on because she stay on go. I just dial up what I want to see. So it affects me from having intimate relationships with my wife. Because I turn her on and I turn her off and she does whatever I want her to do, whenever I want her to do it, however I want her to do it. But how that's affecting my relationship, how that's affecting my wife. I'm behind closed doors. Don't nobody see it. But how that's affected, my God, I know God is in this place right here. Because so many of us, we deal with that. That's where we are. That's where we live. And I ain't telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. That's where we live. And it creates a dysfunction. It creates a void in your marriage. I want to dive into that deeper next week. Lord, say the same. It's time to take our places on that throne, men of God, that God has given you to lead with. It's time for us to take our places, women of God, on your throne as a queen. One guy said it like this, that it doesn't say man who findeth a woman findeth a good thing. It said, but he who finds a wife finds a good thing. So he don't just marry a woman, he marry a wife. So before he come along, you already being a wife. So you wife ready. You need to be husband ready. And not trying to get ready and trying to figure it out. You're not going to have it all figured out, but you wife ready. You trying to wait. So you trying to wait till you see God's hand. Then when you see God's hand, then you going to start making the moves. I'm making the move before you ever show up. That's what faith is. I'm getting ready before you ever show up. I'm digging the ditch before you ever send the rain. That's what faith is. I'm digging the ditch before you send the rain. I'm preparing myself before you do it. That's what faith is. Let's take our places. Let's be what God has called us to be. Come on, everybody stand it.